In this video, we're going to talk about something many people misunderstand, what it truly means when an older man lives alone. When a man reaches his 60s, 70s, or 80s and begins living by himself, the world often assumes his life must be lonely, heavy, or empty. Family members worry. Others quietly feel sorry for him. But the truth is very different from what most people believe. For many older men, living alone is not a sign of giving up. It is often a sign of strength, clarity, and quiet independence. It can become a time of deep emotional growth, personal peace, and renewed self-respect. In this video, I'm going to share the real truths about older men who live alone, how they think, how they feel, how they care for themselves, and how they often grow stronger in ways the outside world rarely sees. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below. It helps us feel like one community here, learning together and supporting one another. And if you have any natural health tips of your own, feel free to share those too. Someone else might really benefit from hearing what's worked for you. Point 1. The quiet emotional strength that grows when a man lives alone. When an older man begins living alone, something slowly starts to change inside him. At first, there is more silence than he is used to, fewer distractions, fewer demands. And in that quiet space, many men begin to truly listen to their own thoughts for the first time in years. This is where emotional strength quietly begins to grow. For most of their life, many men stayed busy to survive, working, providing, solving problems, carrying responsibility. Feelings were often pushed aside because there was no time to slow down. But when a man lives alone, life naturally becomes slower. And in that slower pace, he finally has the space to reflect. Many older men begin to look back on their life with honesty. They think about past mistakes, lost relationships, and difficult seasons. Instead of running from these memories, they sit with them. And over time, something powerful happens. They stop fighting their past and start accepting it. This acceptance brings calm. It brings emotional balance. They become less reactive, less angry, and more peaceful inside. This kind of strength is not loud or showy. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. And for many older men, it becomes the strongest foundation they have. Point 2. Why many older men take better care of themselves when living alone. When a man begins living alone in his later years, something important changes in the way he looks at his own health. When there is no one else around to remind him, encourage him, or take responsibility for daily routines, he slowly realizes that his well-being now rests in his own hands. And for many older men, this realization becomes a powerful turning point. Instead of becoming careless, many become more aware. They start paying attention to what they eat because they understand that heavy food now affects their energy, their sleep, and their digestion. Many switch to lighter meals not because a doctor forces them to, but because their own body teaches them what feels better. Without anyone pushing them, many men begin walking daily just to keep their legs strong. Some stretch in the morning. Others take short evening walks for fresh air and peace of mind. These small habits become personal promises to themselves. Living alone teaches accountability in a gentle but firm way. A man understands that if he doesn't care for his body, no one else will do it for him. And instead of feeling burdened by that truth, many men feel empowered by it. Their discipline becomes their strength, and their self-care becomes a quiet form of self-respect. Point 3. How solitude teaches acceptance and emotional peace. Many older men who live alone carry a long history of life behind them. Love, loss, success, regret, family, work, so many chapters that shaped who they became. When they finally find themselves living alone, all of that history doesn't disappear. It sits quietly inside them. And at first, that can feel heavy. But over time, something beautiful often happens. Living alone gives a man the space to face his own story without running from it. There is no one to impress, no one to perform for, just quiet moments with his own thoughts. In that quiet, many men slowly stop fighting their past. They stop asking, "Why did this happen?" and begin saying, "This is what happened, and I am still here." This is how acceptance grows. Not loudly, not suddenly, but gently, one day at a time. With acceptance comes emotional peace. Old anger softens. Old guilt loses its grip. Painful memories no longer control the heart the way they once did. A man learns that he does not need to erase his past to move forward. He only needs to make peace with it. This kind of peace cannot be taught in a class or given by another person. It is learned in stillness. And for many older men, solitude becomes the teacher that finally leads them there. Point 4. Living alone does not mean being truly alone. One of the biggest misunderstandings about older men who live alone is the belief that they must be completely lonely and cut off from the world. But in reality, many older men who live on their own are not disconnected at all. Their social life may be smaller, but it is often deeper and more meaningful. Instead of being surrounded by many people every day, they choose a few important connections. A neighbor they greet each morning. A friend they meet once a week for coffee. A familiar group at the park, library, or community center. Short visits from family. Phone calls with children or grandchildren. These moments may seem small to others, but to them, they carry real warmth and meaning. They no longer chase crowds or loud gatherings. They protect their peace. They choose conversations that feel genuine instead of forced. And because of that, when they do connect with someone, it feels sincere and fulfilling. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone simply means you live by yourself. Being lonely means you feel unseen and unloved. Many older men who live alone feel seen through the few relationships they truly value. Their hearts are not empty. They are simply calm. Point 5. Living alone helps a man rediscover who he truly is. For most of their life, many men live inside roles. They are workers, providers, husbands, fathers, problem solvers. Their days are shaped by responsibility. Their identity becomes tied to what they do for others. But when an older man begins living alone, something quietly changes. Those roles slowly fall into the background, and for the first time in many years, he begins to ask a new question. Who am I? Just for myself. Living alone creates space for self-discovery. A man starts noticing what he enjoys, not what he is expected to do. Some return to old interests they once loved but had no time for: reading, gardening, woodworking, writing, or learning new things. Others discover new hobbies that bring them peace and purpose. This rediscovery is not about staying busy. It is about reconnecting with the parts of themselves that were set aside for decades. They begin arranging their home the way they like. They follow their own rhythm. They choose how to spend their time without pressure or judgment. This freedom brings quiet joy. A man no longer feels defined by what he used to be. He begins to feel proud of who he still is. And that sense of identity becomes a powerful source of inner strength. Point 6. Living alone keeps the mind active and flexible. Many people believe that as men grow older, their thinking becomes rigid and their curiosity fades. But for many older men who live alone, the opposite often happens. Living independently gently pushes the mind to stay active. There is no one else at home to solve every problem, so a man learns to figure things out for himself. And every small success strengthens his confidence. He learns how to manage bills, handle appointments, fix small things around the house, and even use new technology. At first, these tasks may feel challenging, but with time, they become victories. Each new skill reminds him that his mind is still capable, still learning, still growing. Many older men living alone begin reading more, watching educational programs, or exploring new topics just out of curiosity. Some learn how to use smartphones and video calls so they can stay connected with family. Others discover new interests they never had time for before. This mental engagement keeps the brain sharp. It brings a sense of purpose. It prevents the feeling of being left behind by the world. A man realizes that learning does not belong only to the young. As long as he stays curious, his mind stays alive. Point 7. Independence gives back a man's sense of dignity. One of the most powerful changes that happens when an older man lives alone is the return of dignity in his everyday life. When a man manages his own home, prepares his own meals, keeps track of his own appointments, and handles his own routine, something inside him feels strong again. He is no longer just being looked after. He is still leading his own life. Even small tasks begin to carry meaning. Making the bed, organizing the kitchen, grocery shopping, paying bills. Some days these things take more effort than they used to. But doing them with his own hands gives him quiet pride. It reminds him that he is still capable, still responsible, still in control of his world. Independence does not mean a man never needs help. It simply means he still has agency. And that sense of agency protects his self-respect. It keeps him from feeling invisible or powerless. Many older men who live alone may move more slowly, but inside they feel taller. They walk with the confidence of someone who knows he still belongs to his own life. And that dignity becomes one of the deepest gifts of living independently. Point 8. Living alone teaches a man how strong he truly is. When an older man lives alone, life quietly tests him in simple but meaningful ways. There is no one else in the house to solve problems immediately. If something breaks, he must decide how to fix it. If he feels tired, he must learn how to pace himself. If he feels low, he must find the strength to lift his own spirit. And through these small daily challenges, he slowly realizes something important. He is stronger than he thought. This strength does not come from big achievements. It grows from ordinary moments. From getting through a hard day without giving up. From learning to rest without guilt. From asking for help when it is truly needed. From facing silence and not being afraid of it. Many older men discover that they no longer need constant approval to feel valuable. They begin trusting their own judgment. They make choices based on what feels right for them, not what others expect. This builds deep inner confidence. Living alone shows a man that even in later years, he can adapt, endure, and keep moving forward. And that realization, that I can still handle my life, becomes one of the greatest sources of quiet strength he will ever know. Point 9. Living alone helps a man build his own peaceful daily rhythm. One of the quiet gifts of living alone in later years is the freedom to live each day at one's own natural pace. When a man no longer has to adjust his routine to match everyone else's schedule, he begins to build a rhythm that truly suits his body, his energy, and his peace of mind. This simple change may seem small, but it deeply affects how he feels every day. Many older men begin waking up when their body feels ready, not when an alarm demands it. They enjoy their morning coffee slowly. They take walks when the streets are calm. They rest when their body asks for rest, without feeling weak or guilty about it. Meals happen without rush. Evenings become quieter and more reflective. This gentle rhythm reduces stress. It lowers emotional pressure. It helps the nervous system settle. Over time, a man begins to feel calmer not just in his home, but inside his heart as well. Living by one's own rhythm teaches patience with the body and kindness toward the self. A man no longer fights time. He flows with it. And in that flow, many older men discover a sense of inner balance they never had during their busy younger years. As we come to the end of this message, I want you to understand one simple truth. Living alone in later years does not mean a man's life has become smaller. For many, it becomes clearer, calmer, and more honest. Independence does not erase the need for connection, but it teaches a man how to stand strong within himself. And that strength deserves respect. Growing older is not about becoming invisible. It is about becoming wiser. It is about choosing peace over noise, meaning over pressure, and self-respect over proving anything to the world. Many older men who live alone are not waiting for life to end. They are still living it, quietly, thoughtfully, and with dignity. If you are an older man living alone, I want you to know this. Your life still matters deeply. Your experiences matter. Your presence matters. You are not forgotten, and you are not finished. There is still purpose in your days, still meaning in your choices, and still strength in your hands and heart. And if you are watching this because you care about an older man who lives alone, remember this. His independence may be one of his greatest sources of pride. Honor it, respect it, and support it with love, not fear. Aging is not an ending. For many, it is a quiet becoming.